Speaking of some flip-flopping, there is a clip out there of RFK that people are saying shows him flip-flopping on the issue of vaccines, and that
He's like, I am pro-vax. I just want safe vaccines,
right.
and none of them are safe.
So this is from October 2015.
I want to congratulate Minister Farrakhan on the 20th anniversary of the Million Men March, and also thank the minister for having me here to speak to you today. Minister Farrakhan has asked me to address the issue of vaccines and African American and vaccine safety. I want to start out by saying this, and I want to say it emphatically. I am pro-vaccine. I have always been fiercely pro-vaccine. I had all 6 of my children vaccinated, and I believe that we ought to have policies that encourage full vaccination for all Americans. But to accomplish that goal, we need a honest regulatory agency, we need a transparent process, and we need vaccines that all of us know are safe, are the safest possible vaccines that we can have. We do not have those things today. There have been 4 separate studies by the federal government, by the United States
All right,
Congress.
so I'm going to stop it there because
Yeah.
it's quite a long video, and I do encourage people to go and watch the whole thing. You
Well,
can
I think that's great. I think that's great what he just said. That makes him a much more viable candidate than if he's like, I'm Mr. Hart. And, you know, I really respect the original anti-vaxxers. I was never an anti-vaxxer, quote unquote. And I think it's funny to call someone who doesn't want the COVID vaccine an anti-vaxxer because they're fake vaccines.
I want to talk about that first thing you said, though, that you think this actually makes him a more viable candidate. So, again, this is a video from 2015. Apparently, he was going to speak for Minister Farrakhan.
Yeah, maybe that's the damaging thing, that he was associated with Farrakhan. That'll help him in the African-American community and damage him with mainstream Democrats, you know?
I think it makes him have plausible deniability to being like an anti-vaxxer, right? I also would say it gives him kind of that ability to go back and forth between each of the viewpoints without actually like with full fervor necessarily doing either, like kind of being somewhere in the middle. And so what I thought was interesting was that he said that we don't have the vaccines that I would consider safe today.
Right.
But he also was like, oh, all 6 of my kids are vaccinated and we should have policy. Like, so it really didn't seem like those two things align. Like, if you don't think that we have safe vaccines, then
kind of made a contradictory statement a little bit.
Like, why would you talk about vaccinating your kids? Like, do you regret vaccinating your kids?
Yeah, interesting question. It's
or
maybe
like,
some of that would be answered in the longer statement.
Right. Like, do you feel like that you looked at the safety and for your kids they were fine, but because they aren't up to a certain threshold, everybody should have that choice? Like, I think that we really need to talk about that.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see the longer statement that he makes. I mean, not here.
Right. I think he goes into certain different studies and stuff. And again, I don't know how he finishes it off, but I just worry about him being able to use this to play both sides of the coin without actually following through on the things that would be true to, like, I
mean, I think,
really believe in medical freedom. Michael is asking a good question, which again, we can talk, this applies to Elon, I think, as well. Why can't the imperfect messenger argument be used with Kennedy like it was for Trump? And I did want to say this. I think that it just depends on how the cards fall. At the end of the day, I think having a coalition of people, regardless if the person who ends up being the head of that is the perfect person or not, if we can have this coalition form around one person and not get obsessed with the person, with the character, and actually about our coalition of the fact that nothing else really matters. Like, your stance on abortion doesn't matter unless we ensure we have a government that cares about your basic liberties, right? Like, you're not going to have a choice about whether to even debate on being pro-choice or pro-life if the government doesn't, if the government's going to lock you down and say you're essential or not essential or put you in a mask. Like, we can't debate about these other things until we know that that's not going to happen again.
Thanks for checking out this clip of Teaching Liberty Live. Help us beat the algorithm by sharing it on your social media platforms and with your friends. Also, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Plus, I go live every Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking down the big headlines and trending topics of the week. And let's make sure we stay directly connected, so head over to teachingliberty.org and sign up for my mailing list. Now, go watch more of my videos and share them with your friends. Did I mention that?
Come on.